Hi Al. What are you talking about? It works. No, this one, it's about 3 years. You see I've cut it out. A little bit of turn there in the bottom. I think that was the first, when we talked about the Subo, taking that, being able to cut the root with that nut case on. And being able to cut it down. Because it had that energy stored in the casing. So that's just starting to come out. Now we were talking about the little ones you'd found. Now were they kind of this kind of size? Or did they kind of get a bit thicker? You can see here where I've taken the leader off. Really pushing for maybe this one. Just dry. This will go now in a big bucket, which is where this one first started. Now this, so that's it at the base with the flare, and this was the original core, the original leader, which came out of here. And that was grown for 10 years from about this, you know, maybe not quite this, but from about this in a bucket. And then to prune it down this hard, like we've done here on the little one, you know, and what we may do down here on this one. But I waited for this side shoot, and this side shoot then I grew for another 10 years. And what it's done is resulted in this lovely, beautiful round sky. And you see this in nature. You see this at the bottom of English oak, especially in our country. You know, this heavy bottom turn. But I had to wait until this, a couple of years, till that side shoot got strong enough for me to be able to chop this. Now I didn't just cut it here straight away. I cut it down here and let this pull energy while this kept pushing. And that's now 3-4 years. So you can see this, you know, you've probably got 10 here, 8ish to, you know, you've got 23 years from, you know, that's only a 4-year-old seedling. So the long game in building this, you know, you've got this lovely deep turn coming up into this. Now I'm going to again let this go right up here, 4 foot high, so that this blends over like that, and this thickens to maybe half of that, and then we'll come again back in here. And you see the amount of movement that you're building into this, and it's, yeah, we're taking 30-40 years, you know, before we even getting to the point of trying to make that finished, you know. But if we're going to then go down to a pot this, maybe this size, in another 10 years, maybe a little bit smaller, you see the lengthy process. Now you're young enough, mate, to have a go from the oaks you've got, but that's the kind of process to build deciduous. And without it, if you think you're going to try and bend this to do that kind of turn with this kind of obliqueness, you just won't get it. You know, it's built in nature over hundreds of years, and again you've got to kind of replicate that slightly by slowly building it out and not being scared to chop a lump off. Alright mate, see you later.